So hey, this is Discovering Homestuck, Duke, and last night I issued a challenge to my readers. If they could create a fanfic more than 5 pages long, I would do a dramatic reading of it. However, something I did not expect, you guys are crazy. Like, actually. I mean, whoa. I have no idea how you guys managed to do this. So, in 1 hour, you managed to write 53 pages of Discovering Homestuck's 15 days total. And I honestly have no clue how you did it. It's just like everywhere, and it's hilarious. And I have not read more than the first page, so this is completely a cold reading for me. So here is a dramatic reading of 15 days total by everybody. And unfortunately, I can't read Japanese or German, so I would have to guess that most of it is just copied and pasted from Google Translate and copied back, but you probably hid some crazy shit in there, so I'll get back to that maybe in a little bit. So, let's get started. Chapter 1. Comedy, please. Dun dun dun! Donner's morning, in the time before the light, his asparagus golem glanced at the wizard with a strange gleam in his eyes. "I'm Cat!" it cried joyously. "That you are, my vegetable friend," the wizard replied quietly. "I do not love you, wizard," the asparagus screeched, watching in sick satisfaction as the wizard flinched visibly at its words, stepping backwards with a hand clutched over its heart. His wizard robes rustled in the breeze. I thought we had something special. I thought you were in love." "I am in love," the asparagus said, "just not with you." Instead, turned to Sweet Bro, who had watched the entire exchange. "I am in love with you, Sweet Bro. Your broliness, your sweet is so odious, everything I've ever dreamed of." And Sweet Bro learned to love dicks again, and, as the wizard was already plotting his revenge to hate pussies once more, this would prove fatal. Dun dun dun! Comic Sans was a dick wizard today. Just stop reading now. Only follow directions in square brackets. On a cold winter day, Eridan's dick sandwich said, "I am a dick sandwich." Nobody expected this startling revelation, especially Eridan, who immediately, in a fabulous font, cast aside his arms pathetically, whined to his seahorse Lucis, secretly in alliance with the Condens. The dick sandwich was mildly perturbed at this, so it began its plan for nuclear war, which would prove to be fatal. Chapter 2. Let me tell you about the Squiddles! Bowman watched the chaos with a strange gleam in his eyes. "What? This is not Friends!" he shouted indignantly, for Bowman understood the truth of the world and could not let social injustice and other general unpleasantries of this earth to sicken and die, lest the beautiful cherry blossom embroidered bed sheets John and Lil Cal nestled under, wooing their Nick Cage shrine. Ship, 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 ship. He brought the day before would simply seem tacky in comparison. Eridan knew what he had to do. There was a Burger King within a 10-minute walk of his hive. Only there could the resistance decide on the course of action. To allow for the course of action, human Burger King or troll Burger King? A thickly mustached and eyebrowed Carcat is Edward Elric, apparently, slammed his fists on the table. "I ordered a double dick patty," he shouted, and then proceeded to twirl the aforementioned mustache, starting a small fire. The entire building shook with his fury. So holy and righteous was his rage. Eridan grimaced. Love was meaningless to those who wait. Not that he'd ever receive love. I mean, come on, he's Eridan. The asparagus golem and his wizard friend arrived shortly thereafter. Soon, the resistance would be completely and utterly for legally allowed to purchase catering from ULCC-sponsored eatery warehouses. This was the first step to victory. You know what the fuck, there is just too much fanfic to put snide notes everywhere. Bowman's bedsheets had been tied to a pole and left to float in the wind, like a flag one might put while heavily intoxicated and drunk. Regardless, it was a symbol of peace, happiness, and most importantly, peace. Soon the plan would begin. "Do not question my choice in interior decorating," Karkat shouted, slamming his fist into the table, making the building shake, etc. This would become a recurring theme, but everyone sitting around the table knew that that was why he was their leader. Nobody else could shout as loudly or as obnoxiously, and the thick, coarse-haired mustache that graced his dick inspired all in the dimly lit Burger King to justice. It was a beautiful thing. The first step involved radishes. It was an obvious first move, but in that late's genius, nobody would expect radishes and three-day-old spaghetti dick sauce. It was foolproof. Aaron grasped the long, brightly colored hand that he had been given. It was a token gesture by a long-lost love, but a meaningful one. A single tear gathered in his right eye. Christ, what? Don't question the damn story. Suddenly, an incident involving salad resulted in battle of life and death. The exact cause was lost to history, but there were many a fiery explosion and flowers sent for the death of a friend. It went on for such an ages that many despaired it would end, and children were born and grew up without having known a day without it. "No, my daisies!" shouted Karkat, mistaking the petunias for a different flower entirely. That mistake was that, in later times, would be found to be a reason he won the war. Zazarpan and Zac Efron decided Karkat needed to sing about his feelings, and he did, and they sang together. Zac hugged Karkat in a friendly manner, and they became friends forever. Chapter 3, Product Placement. Mandatory required listening for reading. Let's open that in Google Chrome. Troll face dance 50 hours. Buy some apples, buy some apples, buy some apples. Buy some apples, 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 buy some apples. The words echoed over and again in Applejack's mind. Thoughts blurred with reality, and she was unaware the point at which the endless mantra that reverberated within her skull became frenzied vocalized chanting. She was no longer in control of herself. She belonged to them now. I'm not gonna keep singing. No. When Twilight Sparkle told them of this game that Princess Celestia had asked them to play, Applejack was a bit confused. How many times would the 6 of them be expected to save Equestria? And how did a game have anything to do with that? Something about this just did not sit right with her, but she assumed that if she slept on it, she'd feel better in the morning. She could not have been more wrong. She found herself fully alert in a strange purple room. It was unnerving. Already she missed the bright colors of Ponyville, the wide open skies of her family's farm. She rushed to the window, hoping to get her bearings. No luck. The city below was packed with buildings the size of Celestia's castle, and tiny streets populated with black bipedal creatures, unlike anything she had seen before. Horribly confused, she looked up. That was a mistake. Above her in the black abyss, shadowy tentacle shapes moved and undulated in a way that made her want to run back to this purple bed and hide under the purple covers and stay there until she woke up and left this horrid place. But she was transfixed. There was a voice, several voices, a chorus of voices worming their way into her head, repeating the same thing endlessly. Buy some apples! Buy some apples! Applejack? Applejack awoke with a start. Applebloom was beside her, gently shaking her sister's shoulder. Are you okay, sis? Buy some... She clapped her hood clapped. She clapped a hoof over her mouth. I mean, I sure am. Just dandy. Nothing to worry about here. I just gotta go out, buck some apples, so we can sell them, not buy them. Why would we buy apples? She laughed uncomfortably, and for far longer than could be considered normal. If you say so, sis. whispered underneath her breath. Her words could not come of her own, but a loud repetition of the whispers that prayed the darkest corners of her thoughts, and words that were displayed every time she closed her eyes. Several days now, she had been haunted by the unspeakable and incomprehensible creatures that slept in the furthest ring. She whispered at her own infected dreams so quietly, was nearly sure that the thoughts were on her own. But they grew louder until they reached unbearable screams, a song that ripped at the edges of her psyche and invaded it with chaos that threatened to destroy it. So she had repeated it with her own voice, though that did nothing to rid her. She had been haunted by the horror terrors for several days now. Every time she slept, they demanded electric fruits of rainbow hue, fruits that could satisfy their evil needs. Buy some apples, buy some butts. Her chanting got louder. Applebloom lifted her head from where she was sleeping. "Sis, what's wrong?" Applejack shook her head and snapped out of it. "It's nothing, sweetie. I swear." Apples, 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 apples. Oh, God, sis, stop pooping on me. Oh, God. What's going on? What is going on, man? Oh, sorry, sis. You know what happens to me when I'm dreaming. The horror terrors, they speak to the terrible voices just won't stop. Apples! What the fuck, guys? What the genuine actual fuck? What? Oh my God. The wandering vagabond burst into Celestia's sex dungeon. Really, guys? Really? Okay. The wandering vagabond burst into Celestia's sex dungeon, where Celestia, the young farmer, comes to me at last. "Die, monster," the wandering vagabond said, as he pulled out his trusty sword. Celestia laughed and said, "Monty Python intermission! Whee!" Click. We're not finishing the next 50 hours of that song. And now for something completely different. "Oh, wandering vagabond, I know you want me," as she looked down at his what? As she looked down at his boner, and then pumpkins, all the pumpkins, and then they all porked. She was sitting there, sexy, and his smooth lips were beautiful. I wanted him. My penis was hard. I put myself over his body, over the stairs. "Jeff," I whispered in his ears, "do me like I did your mother." But first he pushed me away, and he got up, and he put on his high fish socks, and he say, "I like to sock, do you?" And I yelled out, "Yes!" And I soiled myself with gum, and then we kissed, and he grabbed my nuts and started spanking them, and I liked it, and I tongued his nipples violently, and he tongued mine softly. His tongue tickles me a lot, and it was great and moist, and I spurted milk very a lot. It was nice, and I cummed again, but there was a lot of cum, and I flooded the house. The houses were so flooded that we got worried. Jeff and I, bro, didn't want Jerome to find out because Jeff was chatting on him. I wanted Jeff from beginning, and I saw him, but Jerome took him away from me. I cried for nights about this, but now I had my chance, and Jeff is mine. Me and Jeff were covered in cum, and it was like a cum bath. I caressed his nice blonde cum-covered hair and licked some off. It was God, very tasty. But then there was a knock on the door. It wasn't Jerome because he was on the roof painting seagulls. But Jeff knew who it was. Chief! I screamed. Who is at the door? It is. But he died from all to come. The doors opened. It was Discovering Homestuck. He came here to pick up his tacos, but they were covered in cum, and he said, ew, and he got out of the house in the end. Thank you, Soapy Metal. I give you a salute. I love you, user 107 Soapy Metal. The plan was to give you a boner, and you got a banoner. Bear my babies. Somewhere in the paradox phase, glob gabada, and Lil Cal went on a double date with Betty Crocker and Lord English, who are actually a happily married couple and have been for 2,543 sweeps. They gazed romantically into each other's eyes, and they became, because they were the happiest, most romantic couple in paradox space. Suddenly, Nick Cage appeared and began to sob beautiful rainbow tears, which formed cats because he was Nick Cage. Because he is Nick Cage. A beautiful Nickelback soundtrack played in the background. It was clearly the most romantic date in history. Gulbayagbabble looked at Lil Cal. She wished their love could be as romantic as Betty Crocker and Lord English. Lil Cal got on one knee. He took out a dainty little jewelry box and opened it. Inside was a beautiful shining ring. Glob gabba gabba. Our love is as radiant as the green sun. Will you marry me? He asked. Glob glob, she replied. That means yes. Nick Cage cried even more beautiful tears. Chad Kroger serenaded the happy couples. Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. He crooned in an off-key voice. Both couples gazed more intensely into each other's eyes and were happy and romantic forever. That means more than forever. Than forever. Somewhere, a million children cringed at once. Be the sky, Bethy sky? But the sky outside was the greatest shade of neon colors that burned retinas. A bird flew when some person thought it was the most stunning thing, but that was irrelevant. But it wasn't a bird at all. And they discovered up in the sky it was a volcanic meteor headed straight for them. Yes, sir, it was a rather threatening size, perhaps somewhere between Jupiter and Pluto. I know exactly what to do, said Lalonde, donning her lab coat. She made haste to her secret laboratory under a cat grave. Everybody held their breath in anticipation as the space cano loomed ever closer, and George Bush followed, running faster. He carried Nick Cage on his back. They needed to escape the meteor. They kept running, and also ended up under a cat grave. But Nick Cage was terrified at cat corpses, and he was sad. He shed a single limpid tear of darkness, causing a miraculous transformation to occur. They all were oranges, holy oranges, the oranges of time and space and void and light, and one true meringue was born, and it was good. Peppery walked up to the houses, unsurprised at the uncharacteristically orange pallor of the limpid eels' dicks. Fuck? Okay. Once upon a time, Obama put a jelly on his hot god dick, and Sweet Bro ollied into the kitchen screaming, Germony, where the fuck is my dick sandwich, bro? Jerome turned to face him. As graceful as a swan, his eyes sparkling and moon-wide, he replied, Jerome, ah! Jerome safe, his wise-eyed sparkling like a bottle of apple juice filled up with pee by mysterious gross man. What is it, my coy? Is it stairs? Never mention the stairs, Sweet Bro shrieked, with the terror of a man who knows way too much about stairs. In the dream bubbles, you feel like nothing's changed at all. Somehow you're still aware that you're not alive. Perhaps a result of still having half of yourself alive. Being aware is not necessarily a good thing, though you're completely alone. When you were still alive, it didn't take much to provoke you. You were constantly sought to avoid the others, the humans in particular. Now that all of them are gone, you can't do anything, but you wish they were back. The veil is a cloud's concrete place, empty like balloons and bowls. You cannot imagine a place more likely. Shut up, you. You can't imagine a place more likely to drive you insane. Your head still pounds and splits with the pressure of psionics you no longer have. A phantom lib, you cannot help but wonder why no one else's dream bubble has intersected with yours. Why you're still here alone. Maybe no one understands that when you're dead, you really are dead, even if it's only half of you. Pfeffrey might have helped with the phantom pains. You sometimes feel doubt about her, or felt, rather. You used to wonder if she really did understand anything about pain you endured. Then you'd hate yourself for even thinking such a thing. Because Pfeffrey was better than you. Just because of high blood, of course. She knew what was best for you, but she isn't here. Aradia used to help you too, before her death. She would pull you away from your programming and codes, force you to stop, eat, breathe. Now there's no one but you to keep yourself alive. It's a good thing that you're dead, you suppose. You've been exploring this asteroid for ages. It's not quite clear what you're doing on this stupid fucking rock. Why couldn't it just be your hive? It's like you have no control over what's happening. You don't watch an anime called Boko. You! Okay, it's not really now. You don't watch an anime called Boko. You! Okay, no, really now. You don't watch an anime called Boko. You! Okay, really now. What are you doing here? Oh god, I'm getting dizzy. Man, what is this? How far am I? I'm not fuck. Fucking fucker. Fuck. Shit. I'm 10 pages into this whatever the fuck abomination shit this is. I'm gonna keep reading this tomorrow, but, yeah.